Joe Burrow was legitimately amazing last year, and we're going to talk about a lot of numbers in this video, but no matter what number you look at, you're going to be impressed with Joe Burrow. He was really good last year, and I think that what's actually fascinating is looking at these numbers kind of makes you think that he's underrated, not overrated. Again, all of his numbers and advanced stuff that I've seen are really impressive. So let's just get into it. This first chart is, to me, the kind of craziest chart. This is the biggest difference. I think the most notable thing with Burrow is how much better he was when he wasn't running play action, which is hilarious because how much Zach Taylor loved to run the ball, despite the fact like clearly opening up the passing game was the correct decision. But even the play action part wasn't working out as well. You see Burrow's numbers when he was running play action, just so you know what you're looking at. So this is going to be where he ranked in specific categories when you have certain splits. So for the PFF grade, he was the 18th best when his team ran play action. For passer rating, 24th best. Big time throw percentage, that is 6th best. Turnover-worthy play percentage, 22nd. And then at the end, SS, that's just the sample size. That's how big, because, you know, it'll vary. It's how many quarterbacks qualified in each of these categories. So 38 did for play action and for no play action. So you see Burrow's numbers, like they're fine when he's running play action, right? 18th best PFF grade, 24th best passer rating. Got some big time throws in there, but other than that, it's kind of just like, yeah, that was a fine thing. But then when he didn't run play action, he was, according to PFF, best quarterback in football. According to passer rating, second best quarterback in football. Didn't quite do as well with big time throws when he wasn't running play action, but still 12th, above average, and did a great job of making sure he protected the football even, when there's no play actions. So what this tells me is that stupid Zach Taylor stopped running so many play actions. Like, this is why I get frustrated with Zach Taylor. People make fun of me because I'm, lower on him, and then he took a team to the Super Bowl. There's things he does very well, specifically player development, but like the obsession with running the ball, especially earlier on in the year, and then the play action's not even helping out that much. Like, just open up the offense, let Joe Burrow do his thing because he's amazing. Going over here now, this is how well Burrow did certain yards down the field. So 20+ yards down the field, the 10 to 19 range, and then the 0 to 9 range. And you're going to see a lot of good numbers just across the board because, again, Joe Burrow is good at football. The 10 to 19 range really where he's at his best. So for PFF grade, 5th best, 20+ yards on the field, best in that 10 to 19 range, which, again, a little bit interesting. I feel like people think about Burrow as a good deep thrower of the football, but it's really that mid-range where he's really thriving. 3rd best in the 0 to 9 range. Passer rating, again, best at 0 to 19. In the league, he's the best at those types of throws in terms of PFF grade or passer rating. 13th best, 20+ yards down the field. So for anyone who thinks that his numbers are only inflated due to throwing the ball deep down the field to Jamar Chase, the data doesn't really back that up. There's a bit of a drop-off at the 0 to 9 range, goes from 3rd to 9th as well, but again, not a massive drop-off in the passer rating, and those can be scheme things or just, his teammates things as opposed to everything else. And you could still argue, hey, Burrow threw a 13-yard pass that Jamar Chase took to the house. Obviously, it's going to help, having talented players. But still, I think this shows that it's not just he's relying on his talented receivers by any means. Big time throw percentage. You have he's 4th best at 20+ yards down the field, 5th best at 10 to 19, and then 5th best kind of at the 0 to 9 range. But again, very small sample size of big-time throws in the 0 to 9 range. There was only a handful last year. Burrow was in like a 35-way tie for 5th place with 0. So that one's definitely kind of one to not pay too much attention to. However, it does go to show, he's good at getting these splash plays when he's throwing the ball down the field, whether it's 20+ yards down the field or even 10 to 19 yards down the field. He's still getting these highlight reel level plays, which is kind of what makes Burrow so great, right? He does the little things. I've often compared a PFF grade to a batting average, where it's how often are you doing the right thing, how often are you putting the ball in play, all that good stuff. To make the baseball comparison, big time throw percentage is home runs, and he's a guy who hits 300 and still hits 40 bombs. That's what makes him so impressive. Turnover-worthy play percentage is a bit higher than maybe you would like, or I guess a bit worse than you would like. I would say, just to be clear, I can't remember if I said this or not, but that means for example, if you're 12th. 20+ yards down the field, that's 12th best. So you want the lower number. The lower, the better. And again, these are still good numbers. 12th best at 20+ yards on the field, 7th best at 10 to 19, and then 14th best 0 to 9. These are good numbers. It's just that, like, comparative to the rest of his numbers, they almost look bad in comparison, but that's still pretty good. And again, that 10 to 19 range, he was just lethal there. This next chart is something I was interested in looking at. How does he perform under pressure versus kept clean? Because that's obviously a big thing about him, right? Is that offensive line wasn't great these first 2 years. Could get better. Could we see a better version of Burrow? Well, it seems like he's pretty equipped to handle any situation, whether he's getting under pressure a lot or not at all. PFF grade of 5th best under pressure, best one kept clean. So, okay, it's still a little better. Although passer rating kind of has a flip. He was the best in football with passer rating under pressure, whereas 6th best when he was kept clean. Big time throw percentage, pretty similar. Turnover-worthy play percentage, put the ball in harm's way a little bit more when he was under pressure, but not massively more. I think to me, this, again, my first reaction is just, okay, yeah, he's pretty much good at everything. The one thing you could say, which I think would be somewhat fair, is people that perform under pressure, there tends to be a bit of a flukiness to that. Like, it's largely dependent on what's happening around you, whereas when you're kept clean, that's what, largely what you're controlling. At least you have you control more of that. That's a real thing. That is, that makes some sense to some degree. And I do expect that, like, he probably won't be first in passer rating under pressure next year. Like, that just, guys very rarely finish in the top, 10 back-to-back years. It just doesn't really happen. Just because it's so fluky. Not to say it couldn't, but there's, a 1 in 32 chance he'll be the best in football next year. You could make the argument. Not quite like that, but that's just kind of, a way to explain it. But that being said, there still is some control you have when you're under pressure. And the fact that he was, amazing when he was under pressure last year, it still means he will probably be above average at least next year. So there's not it's not like a concern or anything, but just like maybe like, okay, you could see him falling back a little bit down to earth, but it's not too concerning to me at all because he was still awesome when he was kept clean. So maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something, but I'll let you be the judge. Finally, his splits when it's 2.5 seconds. When he's getting rid of the ball in less than 2.5 seconds, and the reason why I want to talk about this is I think this is a good example of typically when you get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds, it's because you're getting, the play is working early on. That's typically why that's why the cutoff is there. 2.5 seconds tends to be when a play works. If the play doesn't work, it's going to take you more than 2.5 seconds to throw it. So then what happens when you have to make something happen on your own? So 2.5 seconds, how well do you run your offense? More than 2.5 seconds, how well do you make something happen on your own? It's a bit of an oversimplification, but still, it's interesting data. When he gets rid of the football quickly, best PFF grade in football, 5th best passer rating, 9th best big time throw percentage, and 10th best turnover-worthy play percentage. However, when he's holding onto the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, 2nd best PFF grade, that drops down 1, but best passer rating in football, 5th best big time throw percentage, and does not turn the ball over with 3rd best turnover worthy play percentage. One of the real things that's impressive about Burrow's numbers is how good of a job he does protecting the football even when bad things happen. When he's holding onto the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, he has to make something happen, and he still doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He still will get big-time throws, and he has the best passer rating in football. So if you want to say the only reason he's successful is due to his receivers, which I don't know how many people really say that, but if you're someone who does think that that's at least a big part of it, I think these numbers show that, okay, it's always going to help no matter what, but maybe it isn't as big of a deal as you realize, and maybe with a better offensive line, he'll be able to make more playmaking plays and could actually even improve next year. What I say on pretty much all of these videos is that a video like this will rarely get me to change my opinion on a player. Typically what it does is it makes me kind of understand who that player just is in a better way. Whereas I still feel strongly about Burrow. He's still, in my opinion, a fringe top 5, if not just a pure top 5 quarterback in football already today. I feel that way. These numbers don't necessarily change that opinion one way or the other, just kind of helps me understand who he is, which is a guy who, again, I think the best way to, describe him is, and I'm sorry for non-baseball fans, but a guy who hits 300 but will still hit 40 bombs. A guy who can do a great job of putting the ball in play, drawing walks, but can still hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's someone who does a great job of running an offense, but can still make those splash plays when needed to. And that's kind of, that's why there were some Tom Brady comparisons coming out of college, which is a wild thing to compare. But, but that's part of why it was, along with kind of some intangible stuff. But I don't pay much attention to that because it's hard to evaluate intangibles. Easier to evaluate tangibles, which is what I like to talk about. So, yeah, as a whole, that's kind of what I think about Burrow. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.